Hey everybody, welcome to the show, and I'm very happy to have KPro1, and I'm very happy to have Bryan P, who was the finder of coin, 2019 coin number 37. So Bryan, thanks for being on the show.
Hi Mike. Hi K-Pro. Thanks for having me.
What's up? The winner.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's new and for just doesn't even know what we're talking about, and I got to give KPro credit because this was her idea. Her idea was to come out with a silver colored Forrest Fenn searcher coin and to hide them all across the U.S. and maybe even the world. We'll see. And to put out clues, and then people could go find them, like a little mini treasure hunt, you know? Maybe you can't find Forrest Fenn's treasure, but you could go find one of these because the coins are awesome, the Forrest Fenn searcher coin. So this was so Shannon had two. Is that correct, K-Pro?
Yep.
Shannon had two. Wasn't there another one? Who am I thinking of?
No.
No. There was one on eBay. What I'm saying is how many are out there. There's one on eBay that Copper Dan bought, so he has one. But this is the first one that was actually hidden as a boots on the ground treasure hunt. And Bryan from Ohio is the one who found it. So Bryan's here, and we're going to go over the puzzle, and we're going to go over the solution. And Bryan's going to explain what he had to go through to find it. But I got to give the credit to Genetic Blend. You guys know Beth. She's the one who designed this puzzle, and it was totally her idea for this. She approached me and K-Pro and said, hey, what do you guys think? And I was like, that's awesome. She told me where the location was. She designed the cipher, and I think she really did a good job. So, without further ado, Bryan, you want to give us a little rundown of how you did it?
Sure. First of all, I have an awesome wife who lets me do these and work on these treasure hunts, so they take a lot of time, so I appreciate that. Also have 3 kids, so that keeps us very busy, and I live here in Columbus, Ohio. So with that, I have a great face for radio, so let me try to...
Now, Bryan, was it just you, or did your wife or kids also, like, when you got stuck, not stuck because it was solved in like a day, but if you happened to get stuck for a minute or two, did you like ask them, or were you like the Lone Ranger?
Sure, I got stuck and I asked my wife and I asked my parents, and both of them had good ideas and one of them helped. So
awesome.
But I'll get into that. So let me share my screen here. Okay, can you see my desktop?
Yes, we have it. It's shared. Isn't that an awesome painting? You know, a lot of people said, hey, this looks like the art of hidden messages. And they were correct. Beth drew this one as well. So I think she does a very good job.
Yeah, so this was the puzzle. And just kind of want to go over what I see. So first I see lots of text, and I know I'm going to need to cipher that, but it looks very, very daunting. So I decided to not look at that first. And so I zoom in a little bit closer here. And I start to see numbers on these rocks, and I have a couple ideas for those. So the first thing that comes to mind is a Bible cipher. So with when there's 4 numbers, it can be book, chapter, verse, and then word. And it starts to work, and you get a couple words, but they aren't really coherent. But then it breaks down when you get to this 3rd rock, and it just it fails. So that was one thing I tried, didn't work. As I keep going down, I see some artwork that I know I'm going to have to figure out. And then I see this Morse code. So I like Morse code. So I look into it, and what it is it spells out cow, C-O-W. So if you turn this clockwise, it's C-O-W. So it's kind of like Mike, your signature. So
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. That was Beth's idea too, by the way.
I really like that. Yep. So I urge you to continue doing that in the future.
Yeah. Oh, we got a lot of coins we're going to be hiding, so this will continue on for sure.
Okay. So there's artwork here, but boy, it looks really busy to me, and so I decided to skip it. And so I look at the text. So I've done lots of Caesar ciphers and looked into that. So I thought maybe it could be a Caesar cipher. And there's some apostrophes here. And there's some capital letters, and those are kind of good words to look at to try to cipher it. But I didn't have any good ideas. So when I looked closer, I saw this 3rd word, which was WWNW. So I knew that a regular Caesar cipher would not work with this word, but that potentially a progressive or a shifting Caesar cipher could work. So this word is what really keyed me in. So what I did is I went to go to this site, which has Caesar ciphers, and I typed in www and W. Then I hit decrypt, and yeah, it seems to be hanging up right now.
Thinking about it, right?
But you get results here, and so I copied those results and I pasted them into Excel. So Mike, I know you like to work in Excel, as do I. It makes shifting and looking at things very easy. So this WWNW ends up being these couple rows here, and everything in green is what actually the cipher is.
Poem,
So,
cool, okay.
So WWNW ends up being poem here. So from that word, I started going backwards, and then I was able to read it. So if you read everything here in green, that kind of goes to this line here. So the first line is art and poem will provide you clues.
Okay, so Bryan, can I stop you for just a second?
Sure.
Was this your first this is the one thing that frustrates me about the Forrest Fenn, this other treasure hunt you might have heard about. Is this your first confirmation? When you see POEM, is this your first time that you're like, oh, I've got something? Or was there something else before that?
Once I had the poem, and then I was able to backtrack and get the first couple words, I said, "Oh yeah, I'm really on here, something here,"
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
and you get super excited. It's a lot of fun to find it.
Let me ask you this, Bryan: was the hardest part to just decode the poem, or once it was decoded, was the hardest part to find the location based off the decoded poem?
Everyone's different, but for me, I was able to cipher it pretty easily, and then it was just some copy and paste stuff.
Okay.
And once I had it, then I got stuck on, I didn't know where to go. So I was able to cipher it, but then I didn't know what to do. It gives really good description of what to do. So I'll just kind of scroll down here. This is a lot of my work and how I did each line of the poem. So I'll go to this other tab.
And
so this
I will mention that Bryan was involved in the last grand adventure and did pretty well. So he knows codes, he knows puzzles, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I should also step back. I was in the first grand adventure, and I crossed the finish line, but not first. There were a lot of other that beat me, and I was in the second grand adventure, and it got to be too long for me, and I got stuck. And a lot of other people finished way before me, but I do have a little bit of experience doing it. Certainly not enough, and certainly there's better people and smarter people. So here was the whole poem, and then I transferred it into text, and then this is how everything ciphers out from the other tab. So I like to read it because maybe it'll make sense to you, but when I read it, it did not make sense, and it took me a long time to figure it out. So it says, art and poem will provide you clues to one of this city's grandest views. Here you will come face to face with history in this sweet place. Two men who one another admired hunched over the burning council fire. Open or close the door to the west, each had reasons for what was best. They met in this place as former friends, where one route begins and two end. Hidden inside the Belgian block, tucked deep within, is a secret rock. On this rock is a secret code. Turn that in for what you're owed. But not only that, you must provide 3 photos taken of this famous guide.
Okay, Bryan, wait, before you start. So this got published. What hour are we on? I'm not going to say what day or what week or what month or what year, because we know that's what hour are we on that this is out. You've cracked the beginning, and now you have this brilliant poem. How long has this?
This took about 4 hours to come up with the idea. So when I first started looking at it, to come up with the idea, and then to there's a lot of copy and paste, and first you have to type it all in, and some of the text the font was difficult for me to read, so I made some mistakes, so I had to go back and figure out where I missed. I thought maybe Mike had messed up, or whoever put the puzzle together, but it wasn't the puzzle maker. It was me. So
and I will point out one other thing. Can you go back to the original picture of the cipher?
Sure.
Did you use those numbers that are on the rock?
Yeah.
Did you use those on the unenciphered poem? That's all right. Yeah, there at the top. There we go. Yeah.
So I have what I did with the rocks in a little bit.
Okay, but did
I-
you do it with the poem as it is on this picture, or do you only
No.
use them? Okay, so I will point this out because maybe you didn't see it. But if you were to use the numbers on the poem before it's deciphered, there is a message.
I see. I did
Yeah.
not get that message.
And that
So-
message is, give me 1 second. Okay, if you read the numbers from top to bottom, left to right, and apply them to the encoded poem, so in other words, I believe it's line and letter. So line 4, letter 10.
Oh.
It says, and somebody already posted this in chat, it says, go back by North Gate is a red fish. So if you would have seen that, what would you have thought, Brian? Go back by North Gate is a red fish.
In my solve, that does not make sense. So I don't know.
So a red fish is otherwise known as?
Kind of like a red herring.
Exactly. So what's awesome about this is Beth has it so you can use those numbers on the encoded poem to get a false message, which has redfish in it, so you should know that's wrong. But then also when you use those numbers on the decoded poem, you get the correct message. So I thought that was really
red
cool.
Red herrings, party foul.
So
Party
it's just
foul.
something to throw you off, which I thought was really good. Okay,
No.
okay, go ahead.
And Brian, people are already telling you to go work for the NSA, so keep going. 'Cause you are known as brilliant at this point.
Luckily, I didn't find that red herring. I probably would have wasted more time looking at that. So.
That's interesting.
So yeah, after I cipher this, I feel like I'm way ahead of the game. I'm super excited, but I know there's lots of smart people and they'll get it eventually. And so I know there's a lot more to do. So I have to figure out, this seems like it gives a lot of direction of what to do, but I didn't know where it was pointing me to. So
It's not enough yet.
right. So let me go back to the poem. There's lots of colored letters, of course. So there's like pink letters and dark blue and lighter blue and then really light blue and there's some gray. So I thought, well, there's got to be something there. So I'll go to Excel again, and this is the whole poem right here. So I sorted all these colors, and I could clearly see the pink were numbers. So there was 1, 2, and 3. So I thought I needed to do something with 1, 2, or 3, or is telling me steps, but I couldn't figure it out. So then I took out what was not colored and looked into data for that. I didn't see anything. And then I took out and just looked at the colors by themselves, first just like black and then blue and through each color. And I couldn't find anything. So I don't know if I missed something, but I couldn't use it. It wasted my time basically. So kudos to the puzzle maker for throwing that in there. And then this is where I said, okay, I'm just going to crunch everything together. And then this is how I started solving the rock, what was on the rocks and the stones. So I could, these are the numbers on the rocks or the stones here. So 410. So 410 for me, after it was ciphered, went to this letter here, which was R. So I found that, and then 3, 4 would give
this is like Mike's try the wheel. This is where you learned it, right?
A little bit of Mike's try the wheel here. Yes.
Forrest Fenn did the same thing when he wrote his poem.
This is how you crack Forrest Fenn's poem. This is how you crack 37. Okay, this is great.
So the rocks gave me more information. They transferred to what's here, what I have highlighted here. So this says rear, left, bottom, gap, reach, in, deep. So here I had all these clues of what to do when I get to the certain spot, and then I got more clues, and but I still couldn't figure out where the spot was. So that was a little bit frustrating. And also in the poem, there's some bold face font, and that word is deep. So deep is bold inside the poem, and it says deep here as well. So yeah, so I knew I had to do something in deep.
Did you start digging at that point? Did Scott Conway did you start being on me?
Funny.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay. I'm here all night.
Okay, so let me go back to the poem. So Yeah, when I read the poem, it says art and poem. So I hadn't done anything with the art yet. So I said, okay, rats, I need to understand the art, which is not a forte of mine at all. So I need to figure out what's going on here. So,
and I can go over some of those if you think you missed any. You know what I mean? But
sure.
yeah, go ahead and go with what you found.
Well, the first thing is I see this Rosa Rebenusa, and so I see this rose, and I looked at it, but I couldn't come up with anything. And I see this fate here, and I thought this was trying to get us to a zip code. So like F can translate to 6, and A goes to 1, and
France, Iowa.
Yeah, so I thought they were zip codes. So even though it's only 4 letters,
it's a good idea actually.
T gives you 20, so there's 5, and so but that zip code goes to France. Then I thought, well, maybe it's backwards, the stretch, and it was Iowa. So I kept that in the back of my mind, but that's not what it ended up being. So
you didn't fly to France?
Mike gave a clue that it was in the U.S. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mike, you give away everything, Mike. Okay.
So the rose, also was nothing. Then there's October. So there's October here, and then I noticed in the what the title or the web address is, One Day in October, a treasure hunt. So what I thought, and I spent a lot of time on this, was this is October, and let me zoom in here a little bit closer. Then all of this stuff on his arm, which kind of looks like letters, that transferred to some date, and then I could find the date and search for the date and find some other information.
In October,
so,
right.
So let me go back so I thought maybe this was a YAHCI, which would translate to 25-1839. So I thought maybe 25-1839, and but couldn't find anything. Then all of these are different things that I thought were on his arm that I tried to make it into some date, but I couldn't figure it out. So
so these are all what you're saying, just failed imagination.
Yeah, so a lot of,
and you stuck with it, but my God, that there's a lot in there. Okay.
So a lot of this treasure hunt or ciphering is failing. So I guess I'm just trying to show things that didn't work, but they might work next time, and you have to keep an open mind. Sure.
Yeah. But that's awesome to show how many different ways you were like, nope, this one, nope, this one, nope. That's helpful.
So again, I'm stuck, and I need to find the spot that I need to look for. So I start Googling what I think are important facts in the poem. So I Google face to face, and I find nothing. Nothing comes real clear to me when I look at face to face. Then I look for sweet. Also, I don't see anything. Nothing comes to mind. Actually, I'd like to go back a little bit. Go back to this artwork, because there was some more artwork stuff that I looked at. So let me zoom in here again.
And I can go through what Beth purposely put in to see if maybe it would have helped or not, if you would have caught it, if you want to.
Okay, let me go a couple more things and you can share.
Yep.
So there's these looks like are bat or some type of antlers, and I thought these all have specific numbers of things. So I tried these numbers to get to a zip code, but that didn't work. And I see this kind of like an N here, N and 0, like maybe it was New Orleans.
Okay.
But that also was a dead end. And I see this is kind of like an eye of a bird kind of looking up, maybe, I don't know. So I looked up some birds and some like a stork, and but again, couldn't find anything. There's some, looks like grapes or vines here. Again, didn't match anything. There's some crossed off stuff, like there's supposed to be some initials of something. I couldn't put anything together here either. So then as I'm looking at these two guys, I finally start focusing on right here. And I think this guy's holding a hatchet. So I start to think, okay, this is an Indian, and this is a white man, or maybe another Indian, and they're having some conversation. And if I scroll up here and zoom over, there is this symbol here of another Indian. So I thought maybe it seemed like more and more that this was an Indian here, and I needed to find this Indian and this other guy, and figure out what they're discussing. So that's basically all I saw in the artwork. So Mike, you said you wanted to share some things?
Yeah. So this is just to see if maybe there's some things you didn't catch. So I thought the progressive cipher was really cool, which to me would have been the hardest part, to get that. But that's an accomplishment. You did it in what, a day? In 4 hours, you said? That's awesome.
Yeah.
So okay. And then right. So when you deciphered the numbers on the decoded poem, that doesn't really help you until you're at the location. So I don't think that helps you at all find where it is, right?
Right. I have a lot of details, and I know when I get to a certain spot, I know exactly what I need to do. But I need to, from the artwork, I think has to tell me where to go.
Right. So of course she put the statue in the picture. So once you know the location, you know exactly what those two statues are.
Sure.
Or who they are. The flower in the illustration is a Rosa rubiginosa, as you said, otherwise known by the common name Sweetbriar. So in the location, they did. Okay. So Sweetbriar is a street that is there in the location.
Yeah, and there's a Sweetbriar University, and so that was
also.
Okay.
Thought, but not in the right location.
No, it's a women's college, and it had just there was several people were like, "Well, you go such and such," and I will tell everybody I cannot go anyway. I didn't decipher this, but I'm too involved. I cannot go. And
me and K-Pro are not ineligible to find them, and we're ineligible to help anybody. So if you guys think one's here in Vegas, I'm not going to go look for you. Even if it's not me that did it, even if it's somebody else's idea, we can't help. So that's why, Bryan, when you first emailed me and said, I think I got it, I think I'm going to go, I didn't email you back because I don't want to say one way or the other, try and sway you if you're right or not.
Because I had somebody that emailed me and they were completely in the wrong part of the country, and they're like, this is going to make things good with my spouse, I'm going to get it. And I was like,
and we can't say no.
And I'm like,
I mean, I might respond and say good luck or okay, but that's it. I'm not going to say anything that'll make you think it's right or wrong. The crosses and the left-hand side, the Indian's name translates to standing cross or row of crosses. So that's what that was. In the upper right corner is the American Indian sign for the type of Indian that person is. And then, of course, the logo for the cow. In the upper left corner is the logo for Cowlazars. Right there. Yep.
No one got
which I thought was pretty cool.
Understood that at all.
And in the poem, the letters BH are in gray for Beth's initials. That's her name, BH. So I thought that was cool.
Okay.
Okay, and then if you want to go into how you got the location, so I can go through that once you give yours, as far as the actual poem itself.
Okay, so you somehow at this point you've deciphered stuff and you have a bunch of fails. You really don't know. Do you even know what state at this point? Not really, right?
I'm still. It could be anywhere in the U.S. I'm all over the place still. Yeah.
Okay, and you were in hour 4, so you're in hour what, like 6 by this point?
We're probably in the next day. So.
Okay.
It was a long time to get the location. Yeah.
So was the wife involved? Is she helping, or is you're kind of doing this on your own?
Yeah. So actually, my wife, she helped me look at this, the date on the arms a lot, and she found a lot of treaties that were signed between Indians and the white man in October. So
nice.
There were 3 or 4. So she had me looking at those. I mean, it was a great thought, but it didn't pan out. But that's what you need someone looking at it at a different angle to help you when you're stuck. So great thoughts, but it didn't work out. I'd like to go. I started Googling what I thought was important in the poem. So here's the poem, and then I would Google face to face. I didn't find anything, but eventually I would understand the importance of this. And sweet, you mentioned Sweetbriar. I couldn't find anything, and I never did understand that. Then 2 men who admired, didn't really look at anything for there. Hunched over the burning council fire. So I looked at the council fire, couldn't find anything, but eventually I would understand that. And open or close the door.
That middle part where you say nothing, that means I've got something, but it means nothing to me.
Then eventually he got it. Yeah, I see.
Okay, so, that's awesome.
So some things would eventually matter. Open the door, close the door to the west. So I would look for door to the west, and I kept getting Marietta, Ohio. So I looked at lots of things in Marietta, Ohio, and but it led to nothing. So eventually I gave up. And each had reasons for what was best. I couldn't come up with anything there, but eventually I would understand this. And they met in this place as former friends. And again, I couldn't find anything, but eventually it'll make sense. And where one route begins and two end. So this is the start of where I was able to put everything together. So I thought this was a river. And growing up here in Ohio, I was a Reds fan, and the Reds played at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. So I started looking there, and what I found there was Fort Pitt, and Fort Pitt is right there where all the three rivers, and that was the only thing I could find. So I spent a lot of time there and saw what their fort used to be, and then how it was destroyed, and then how they rebuilt. But I couldn't find anything in the artwork that was in Fort Pitt. So eventually I would give up, but I would come back here. That I'll talk about in a little bit. So hidden inside the Belgian block, I knew what Belgian block was.
I will be right back. Sorry.
Sure.
Okay.
And then tucked deep within the secret rock, I knew once I find the Belgian block, I'll be able to find the rock.
So you had heard of Belgian block before? Because I never did. I didn't know what that was when I read the poem the first time.
To me, they're more like pavers. But
yeah, right. So it's a particular type of like stone or something that they've used.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't know that. Okay. Maybe it's a Midwest thing. Okay.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And so on these three lines, I didn't find much. And then it says 3 photos taken of this famous guide. So I knew I had to take it when I got to wherever I needed to take a picture of the guide. So I started Googling guide, and I got Buffalo Bill Cody, and he's tied to Sitting Bull a lot. So when I got here, I said, all Forrest Fenn fans know that Sitting Bull and the peace pipe that Forrest owns, this has got to be it. But I spent time there. I couldn't find it. And then I saw Sacagawea. She was a famous guide, and she led Lewis and Clark. But then there's 3 people. So I thought maybe it was Sacagawea's husband or her father, and them talking to either Lewis or Clark. But again, it didn't turn into anything. Joseph Walker was also an important guide, and he did a lot with the Oregon Trail, but couldn't find anything. Also, Pontiac and Tecumseh, they are Indians and guides, but nothing seemed to work there. So, I did lots of investigation, and suddenly I was stuck. I had no idea where to go. So I emailed my parents, and I sent them this long email, and this is what I'm working on, and I need help. And my dad just responds, all he says is, sounds like Fort Pitt, where 2 rivers end to form the Ohio. And I said, that's no help. I was already there. But I was stuck. So I decided just to look back at it again. So I Googled Fort Pitt Indian, and I was looking at the text screen, and for some reason I saw this image tab. So I said, I'm looking for an image. So I need to look at this image tab, which I've never really been on Google before. So I come to this screen, and I start scrolling down, and then I see a picture of what I'm looking for. It's this statue here. Actually what I saw was this one. I didn't see that one up earlier, but so I click on it, and I said, this is kind of like what I am looking for. So then I start looking at this, and then I realize that this is this is the artwork, what's in the artwork. So I need to go here. And
this is in Pittsburgh, just so everybody knows where you're at, Pittsburgh.
Right. So when you put all this together,
so at this point, where you're like, I got to make a drive, or are you still uncertain?
So when I'm at this point, I have total relief. I think I solved this. I know where to go and where exactly in Pittsburgh, and the address in Pittsburgh. I know there's a lot of other smart people, and they might beat me to this rock, but I'm at peace with everything because I know that I basically solved it.
And how long of a drive was this from where you are to this location?
So mentally, I hadn't talked to my wife or anything about how long I would drive, but mentally I thought I would drive 3 hours. If it's within 3 hours, I'll do it. If not, I need to find somebody else.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It turns out it's 3.5 hours. So it's just a little bit over my threshold. But we tried to think of someone in Pittsburgh, but we couldn't. So I decided to head out that evening after work, which was 5 p.m. So I headed out and left work, and I got there around 8:30. Parking wasn't very easy. It's a different area. There's lots of no parking signs, and so I decided I parked. And when I got out, I cannot emphasize enough. This is when the polar vortex was coming through.
Yeah.
So it was 8 degrees outside, and this is on top of a hill, so it's really windy. So it is extremely cold outside. So
And you're there at night, right? Middle of the night.
I'm there at 8:30. It's dark.
Okay.
Dark and cold. But I have very specific instructions, so I think I can get there. So I go out, and about after 5 minutes in the cold, I can't stand it anymore. So I have to get back in my vehicle because it's too cold, and I warm back up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was not parked legally, I don't think, the first time. So I moved, and I got into a less place that I thought was illegal. At least I could see where it was. And so the second time I went out, and I'm using my iPhone as a flashlight, and the second time my phone dies. It's so cold outside.
Oh no.
My phone dies. That's how cold it was. So I kept looking for the gaps, but I couldn't. There's a couple gaps, and several places where it could have been, and I didn't find it. So I had to get back in my car again. And when I warmed up in the car again, my phone came back on after it warmed up, and it had full battery. So.
And I think you emailed me. I think you were like, I'm here, but I can't find it. It's too cold. And I don't think I emailed you back because I didn't want to say yes or no, you know.
Sure. I was very certain that this was the spot. I was just afraid that I was going to have to go home without it or have to get a hotel.
I was just going to ask you if that was a possibility. Your wife will love that one. Yeah.
So I head out for the third time. And the third time, I finally see it. So let me share some pictures here. My first time when I got out there, I wanted to make sure I took the pictures of the guide because I didn't want to forget that. So
the poem does say to take 3 pictures, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so there's 3 pictures of I can't remember his name. Yasuda.
Yeah, Yasuda. There you go.
Yasuda. So I didn't share. This is Yasuda, and he is talking with George Washington. So they're discussing what the poem's talking about. So I took pictures of Yasuda, and so I had those as evidence which I had to send to you.
Right.
And this pictures I wanted to show that I'm showing the hatchet because the hatchet was a big
Are
point.
these your actual pictures from your time?
Yeah, these are mine.
Okay, so you're now in the evening. Okay, so we're close here. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm at the spot, and it's dark and cold out. Right.
Right.
So getting the hatchet was a big point. So I wanted to take a picture of the hatchet.
There he is.
This is trying to take a selfie, but it is so cold outside. It didn't turn out real well.
You don't look comfortable. You don't look
as your cheek freezes to the statue.
One thing that doesn't come off real clear is the poem says it's a really good view, and it really is. It's an amazing view. On the other side of this, I didn't get a good picture of it, but it's a very nice view on the other side.
So I guess it's a very popular spot in Pittsburgh there. And Beth was hoping the person who found it would get some good pictures, but I told her, hey, it was cold. It was in the middle of the night, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I think these are fabulous pictures.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
They're awesome. Awesome.
So the third time out of my car, I finally see it. So I'm on my knees, and I have this snow scraped away. And this back here is what I went to Pittsburgh for. This is the treasure in here.
And that's wrapped in plastic, right?
It's like plastic baggie with packaging tape, and that's what it was. So I had to reach deep into there, and my hands were so cold, and my hands were bigger than the scap, so I couldn't I couldn't get it. So I could see it. So now I'm panicking because I see it and I know where it is, but I can't grab it.
So at this point, did you worry that you didn't bring a stick of dynamite
a chisel, hammer and chisel?
Chisel. Or were you thinking you're going to go over to that Indian and take his hatchet? I mean, what's going through your head at this point?
At this point, I think I got to get back in the car because I'm too cold. So that's what I did. It is so cold. I could only spend like 5 minutes outside.
Wow.
So I got back in my car and I needed to come up with a plan on how to get it out. And when I was going back to the car, I said, I have some bungee cords and they kind of have a hook on it and I can maybe hook the baggie and
MacGyver it. I gotcha.
Pull it out. So I wound up in the car and then I looked for the bungees, but I couldn't find them. But I did find a battery, a jumper battery wire cable. And
it had dynamite with it. Is there dynamite involved? That's all.
Sorry to disappoint you, K-Bro. No dynamite.
Okay.
So on the end of the battery jumper is like a squeeze clamp. So I use the clamp from the battery jumper to grab onto the plastic bag and pull it out. And it was wrapped really tightly, and I didn't. My hands were so cold. I didn't even open it. I just got in the car and I started driving back to Ohio.
Oh, you didn't even open it yet? Wow.
Oh my gosh, really?
But you knew that was it, right?
There could have been. I was certain that was it.
Yeah.
And there could have been more instructions, but I was ready to fight you, saying my hands were too cold.
I'm here. Yeah. Now, it never occurred to me that anybody would go look for it at night. But I understand you saying, "Hey, I know where it is. I got to get it before somebody else does." So
yeah,
that's awesome that you made the trip.
I was really worried that someone else was going to get it first. Yeah.
I don't even know if anybody else deciphered the poem before you actually went there and found the rock. Not that I know of.
Not like there's the Copper Dan one where Copper Dan's medallion was found, and then within a few minutes, somebody put up on Facebook, "I was in the parking lot," and they actually have a picture in the parking lot.
Yeah.
We didn't have that on this one, but that doesn't mean somebody wasn't right there as well. But I will say from the room, I know, Bryan, you can't see the room. They would like you on their team for the Forrest Fenn hunt.
Because you're good.
They believe, I mean, brilliant. All of those things are being said, but you definitely deserved it. And the weather alone, I mean, great job. There's lots of positive coming out of the room right now. And many would have given up once they saw they couldn't get to it. What did that look like? So there's lots and lots of positive to you. So good for you.
Well, thanks.
And then I'll go through the clues that were in the poem to see if you caught them all or not. If you can bring the poem back up, we'll go through those real quick, and then you can go back to this. Or go ahead.
I would like to. There's a plaque there, which I had read before I left, and the plaque solidifies everything. So maybe this
good.
Will help answer some of the things. So if I can read it, maybe just the first two paragraphs. So this bronze depicts a meeting in October 1770 between George Washington and Seneca leader Yasuda. These two historic figures first met in 1753, where Yasuda guided Washington up the Allegheny River to deliver a message to the French at Fort Le Boeuf, requesting that they leave the region so the British could prevail here and trade with the area's indigenous people. The attempt failed, the French remained, and the French and Indian War erupted soon after in 1754. So there's a lot of information. He was the guide in October, and there's more in the second one. First allies, then on opposing sides in that war, these two veterans met again 17 years later down on the Ohio River and sat overnight at a council fire, so that's a clue. They revisited their past and debated on the future of this highly prized region. Though they held very different ideas about the fate of this area, they parted on friendly terms, called Points of View. This work by local sculptor James A. West. And West was in the poem a couple of times. It could mean lead to the west, but also the sculptor was West, so maybe that's was a hint. Captures a moment in time between two formidable men whose actions had a huge impact on Pittsburgh, Southwestern Pennsylvania, and the country that would become the United States of America.
So I think Beth did an awesome job. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, there's a couple questions from the chat room because that is awesome.
There's the rock, Bryan, and Beth painted that rock.
You did not. This so shows how much people are different.
And there is the code.
Open it right then and there before you even walked away. Phenomenal. So Here's a question from the chat room. If you discover the location was 1,000 miles away, what would you have done? Taken a plane? Or
figured out somebody to get it for you, or
I would have figured out someone else to get it for me. I have lots of family all across the country, but for some reason we couldn't figure out Pittsburgh. So that's why I got it. If it was a lot further away, had to figure out something. And there's a lot of people in the treasure hunting community that are on Facebook that I could have reached out to get it. But
okay, so the biggest question,
challenge.
There's been several. Where is your WWWH?
Nah.
No pressure.
Now,
everyone wants to know.
Have you ever been on a boots on the ground for the Forrest Fenn treasure?
Mike, I'm like you. I have not, but I definitely want to. Yeah. I have right now. I have 90 places where warm water is held.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've searched all of those, and I can't find whatever the second or third clue is.
Right.
So I basically am at square zero, but I have lots of places I think warm water salt.
You're just as far as 350,000.
Everybody else, that's right.
Taken expensive vacations, so I think you are. You might even be more than that. So
a lot of people are saying this was so hard, I have no chance. I just want to mention to people that on these other ones that we do, they're not going to be as hard. So don't worry. Some will be a lot easier. We have some other people doing things. Me and K-Pro are going to do our own. So yeah. Stay tuned because they're not all going to be this hard.
I am not. Okay, so I have a statistician background, but I will tell you, mine are not going to be quantitative and codes and ciphers and all of that.
Yeah.
Mine, I believe when mine goes out, it's going to be like 15 minutes and I'm literally going to be in the parking lot waiting for that person because mine is going to be a very quick one because I want it to be very based on imagination. I'm going to base it off my son and some of the video games he plays and some of those things. And you guys might just go, oh my gosh, you just threw one away. Yep, I'm allowed to.
Give it to a child. Maybe they'll be able to figure it out.
So
some might just be pictures only. There's a lot of different ideas we have. So they're not all going to be puzzles and ciphers, and it takes somebody like Bryan to figure it out. So.
And I'd like to, at the end of the 50 of them, know how many people like this one or like that. And this is kind of a discovery thing because Mike and I have some ideas for future years. So it's super cool because I have to tell you, I did the one that Beth did. What was that with the ukulele thing? What was it? I don't know.
Oh, that was the art of hidden messages. Yeah.
And oh my God, I was like, this isn't even like Chinese because I was learning Chinese at the time. This is from a different planet. I don't get it.
Right.
And I do have to say this one, when I saw it, I just went, holy heck. Know that there's some coming up that it's going to be like, why'd you make it so obvious? That's going to be mine.
And those are intentional. We want it to be easy. So if you bring the poem back up, Bryan, I just want to go through because a lot of people might still not understand how you figured it out. So I want to go through what the clues were in the poem that Beth had, the intention that Beth had when she wrote the poem.
The ciphered poem, probably?
Decipher. Yes, exactly. The deciphered poem.
Okay, so here.
So these are the clues that Beth put in the poem. Grandest views was Grandview Avenue in Pittsburgh on Mount Washington. Face to face, the two characters in the statue, Yasuda and George Washington, are sitting face to face. History, and of course this was a historic moment. Sweet Place is the intersecting street of Sweetbriar Street. Okay. Hunched over the burning council fire. The characters are hunched over, and the words council fire are on the plaque that's at the site. The door to the west at that time was known as going west from Pittsburgh down the Ohio River. So I think she has door to the west in the poem, right? So that was a big clue on where it was. West is also the last name of the artist who created the sculpture. One route begins equals the Ohio River, and two end is the Allegheny and the, how do you say that? Monongahela River?
Sure.
Monongahela? Yeah. So two rivers turned into one. Maybe that's where warm water's hauled. Never mind. The statues sit on top of Belgian block, and tucked between the Belgian block is the painted rock with the secret code. And the famous guide is Yasuda. So that pretty much was it. And then, the code that she put on the rock, Cowl was for Cowlazars. POV is point of view, which is the name of the statue. And the year that Washington and Yasuda met there is the year. And GB for genetic blend. So there you have it, everybody. I hope everybody understands it. It was difficult, but we wanted the first one, to last for a little while. So, and yeah, I think the rock is awesome, which you also get to keep, of course.
Sure, it's awesome.
The coin number 37 is in the mail en route to Bryan right now. And
Yeah.
so
Okay, wait. I have
Yeah.
a question from the chat room.
Yeah, go ahead.
Digital Treasure Map says,
You can
does
close that,
Bryan
Bryan.
think there are any ciphers or decoding involved in finding the chest? Which I believe he means the little-known Forrest Fenn treasure chest.
Everybody's going to be emailing you for hints on the Forrest Fenn.
You're brilliant. You're famous. It's like, this is it. Woo!
I spent a long time looking at Morse code and Forrest Fenn's poem, but there's words in there, but it doesn't pan out. It's a bunch of gibberish. Is there? I think he says there's not. So I don't know. You have to take him on his word, I guess.
Okay.
So, yeah, the next one is going to be released on March 1st, I believe. Or before. Yeah, it could be or before. But I'm saying we're not going to wait months and months to do another one. So you guys, it will be posted on hintofriches.com on the forum. It'll be posted in the Grand Adventure Facebook group. And then the question comes up, now, Bryan, you found a silver coin. Are you eligible to find any of the other silver coins? Unlike Jenny Kyle's gold medallion hunt, her rules are 1 per household. Me and K-Pro have not set that rule. So Bryan is eligible for any of the other boots on the ground hunts. And if you guys don't know, for people who can't go boots on the ground for whatever reason, we're also doing a armchair treasure hunt that you can do from home for 4 coins, 3 of the silver and 1 of the copper. That's called Cowlazars Grand Adventure, and Bryan is also eligible to win one of those. So I don't like to exclude people. Like, if you're good enough to find one, well, you're done. You can't participate anymore.
No, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think good enough. Let's not judge.
Well, no, the first. Okay, the first to find one. Put it that way.
So Bryan, I think, is phenomenal when it comes to the codes. Much like the boys thought they were going to be great in the escape room with the codes and ciphers. No offense.
We're never going to live it down, Covert One.
And Covert One's in there is trying to. He actually made a reference. This was just. Bryan could have been in our room. Anyway, I think you need to realize there's at least 5 different people. This is just something fun. And so there is going to be people like me. I'm not going to make it code and ciphers and all of that. I'm going to try to make it as hard. It's not going to be as hard at all. I would have given up halfway through, and I don't want people to give up halfway through. And so there's going to be different ways to decipher. And I do have to say, too, there are all the different regions covered as well. So Bryan happened to luck out with 3.5 hours.
Close enough, yeah.
But what happens if Bryan figures one out in Oregon?
Southern California, yeah, right?
Yeah, and he's not able to get there. So
maybe,
I don't know. And Covert One, no, we're not hiding one in your mailbox. I don't care how much you ask. So
we could hide one in your state. You never know.
Yeah, so I do have to say the first one for me is going to be relatively close to my, it'll probably be in my search state or one of my, I'm in a East Coast, so the states are much smaller.
But when we release them, you will never know who created the puzzle. In other words, we're not going to say this is K-Pro's puzzle. We're just going to release the puzzle and you got to figure it out. Right,
I might
K-Pro?
not go live in the middle of the night when Mike doesn't know and say, this is mine, this is mine. No, I'm probably not going to do that, but you never know. So it'll just be fun, but just know, I have to tell you, when I saw Beth and she sent what it was, and then Mike asked me to decipher it, I'm like, heck no. And then when Bryan went through it, I was like many of you, like, I couldn't have done that. Know that the couple that I'm doing, and I reserve the right to do more than one, it's going to be a little bit different for me, but you know what? Bryan might look at it and go, "Oh, I don't even get that because I'm more of a cipher guy." And
everybody
Mike
thinks
might go,
differently.
What is this? Yeah.
You might explain it to me, and I still don't get it. You never know.
Well, Mike said to me, "This one's going to go for weeks. Can you decipher this super hard cipher code?" And I'm like, I didn't even try because once he said that, I ran away. So, and then Bryan did it within a couple days. It was awesome.
Can you close the sharing, Bryan, and show the rock when it's a big screen? I think the rock's awesome.
Sure.
So
now,
in future hunts, we may actually hide the coin itself, or we may use a proxy item like we did with this one. It's at our discretion. Yeah, I think that's awesome how she painted it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really good.
So yeah, Cowlazars.com. This video will be up with Brian's permission. This video will be up. It's kind of a video of the solution, and then the next puzzle will be posted there. Maybe March 1st, maybe a little bit earlier than that. We'll see. You never know when we're going to put one out. But if one goes, a whole month and nobody is getting it, we can put out hints, of course. We don't want these to go forever.
Well, and I can tell you, for my original thought on when this started, as just a thought in my head, and then I talked to Mike and things started going, was put out something, and then if in a couple days it hadn't been found, a couple days later put out something else, and then a couple days later put out something else, and then it becomes within a week or two it's found. So the thought wasn't like a huge hard cipher poem thing. I think it's awesome that it's gone this direction for one, but I can tell you mine is going to be, it's kind of like Shannon's, a little bit like Shannon's of here's one, but if you don't get it a couple days later, it's going to be here's some more info and here's some more info, and then it's going to be found within a few days. So
yeah. So we've got 45 more of these to hide and to do clues for. So there's going to be all different types. Don't think that, this is so hard, I'm not going to be able to ever find one. And we hope to do them all over the U.S., maybe overseas. I don't know yet. We'll see. And yeah, should be a lot of fun. I don't think we're missing anything, are we? Oh, Copper Dan, are you in the room? He was. So Copper Dan did a treasure hunt recently. And that was recently found by Ramona. Ramona here in Las Vegas had Kathy. You met Kathy Capro. Had Kathy go get it for her. I'm not sure who gets to keep the coin. I'm assuming Ramona does. But that was here in Las Vegas. And you guys could see Copper Dan just put up a video on the solution in Forrest Fenn's Marvel Gaze, the Facebook group. So I invite everybody to go check that out. Nobody else was close, Adam. That I don't even know of anybody that deciphered the poem like Bryan did.
I didn't understand that. I just put a question mark. Like, what did that mean?
What?
Okay. So Copper Dan is in the room, and I didn't understand what Adam's question was. Was anyone else close to you?
Oh, that you know. No, anyone else close? Now, I don't know. Now, if he meant the Las Vegas, yes, there was somebody else that's in the chat room that was very close. So if that person wants to say who they are, they sent me a picture from the location. Like, they must have just got it. Because this was 2 nights ago, I believe.
So the really important question is, Bryan, there has been no number coins that I know of openly sold. There's been some like private sales because Copper Dan, you need to go underground. No social media for you. But what are you thinking about? Are you keeping the coin? Are you selling the coin? Are you putting it on eBay? Highest bid? What? Your wife deserves some maybe diamonds.
He deserves it for sure. But it's a lot of sentimental value, so I'm not looking to sell right now. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Mike, I have to thank you and Capro for setting this up and doing this. It's really a lot of fun. When I was driving to pick it up, I'm driving on the highway and I'm listening to 80s music and I'm on a treasure hunt.
Right.
I mean, it was like a natural high for me. So life was good then. So I really thank you guys for setting us up.
Okay, so the one that I have to ask though, so you've got it, you hooked it, you got it in, and now you still have a 3.5 hour drive back.
Oh.
Was there ever a time in that time, and you haven't opened it? I'm gonna be legit with you. Like, I feel like that's insane. Like, I could have walked away 3 feet, because what if it had in there, like, go 2 more rocks over, and that's where it actually is.
Nice try again.
Yeah, like, and
hey, that's an idea. Maybe I could do something like that.
Exactly. So you went 3.5 hours, and now did you open it with someone there? Did you wait until you got out of the car? Like, I don't understand this at all. I feel like you're from another planet.
He wanted to open it with his wife. Come on.
Okay, and I need to hear that from Bryan.
So on the drive back, there was a snowstorm coming. So the 3.5 hour drive turned into a 5 hour drive. So it took a lot longer to get home. And it was 2:30 and I came home, and with the roads being so bad, I was just so alert and so attentive.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to go to bed. So then I said, I better open it. So I opened it at home by myself. So not a great story that you were looking for.
That's all right.
Okay. Now I do have to say, there is some offers of a couple of different numbered copper coins. And I do have to say, now this has happened. I offered literally highest bid to AJ. I said, AJ, how much for the first mysterious MW medallion? And he's like, it's not for sale. And then all of a sudden, some guy named Copper Dan came over and he's like, I own it. And I'm like, oh, so I'm not bitter about it. I'm bitter about it. So I'm just saying that there's some people also offering copper coins. What is it going to take?
Well, Bryan, you have a copper coin, correct? Forrest Fenn?
I don't have any coins.
Oh, you don't? Oh, well, you do now. You have a silver one now. Okay.
So I will, but
yeah.
I'm just not into selling it right now.
Think it through.
Yeah, keep it. I would keep it. I mean, you definitely deserved it after what you went through to find it and to go get it. So, and I better not see that Cowlazars rock on eBay either.
No, it's yours. If you want to put it on eBay, you want to do it, you do you. You're allowed. That's awesome. That's super fun.
It's Mike's new marketing.
Right?
Selling
That's
rocks.
true. Yeah,
Selling
right.
rocks.
There you go. Painted rocks. We have a whole group of people that paint rocks and hide them around Las Vegas. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to add, Bryan? Thank you for coming on, because anybody else who does find one of these in the future, I invite you to come on and explain what you did to find it. But of course, you don't have to. So thanks,
I'm going
Bryan.
to throw out something that I want to talk to Mike about. I will tell you, when AJ found his first MW medallion, he actually videoed it when he went over and got it. I think we should not only have the coin, but there should be some extra thing in the pot if somebody videos it as they go and get it, just because that puts the dun 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 factor on that we sweeten the pot a little if they do it. So I'm just saying that might come up later. Let me talk to Mike, but it's all about the carrots, not the sticks. So maybe there's going to be something else involved, but I love the video. So the pictures were cool. This was really cool tonight, Bryan. But if there was a video, as you were like, you would like go and do that for an extra little something, maybe
so
we do.
Honestly, my plan was to go out, find it, and then go back and then record a video population. And then I definitely would have. And everyone would have laughed at how much trouble I had getting it. So
it would have been a 5-second video going like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So, okay, I got again, congratulations, Bryan. The coin is in the mail. You'll get it soon. You definitely deserve it. So I'm ecstatic about how this first one went. Remember, everybody, we got like 45 more to do. And then me and K-Pro have some ideas for a big treasure hunt, which we'll get to that after we get through these coins, which should be a lot of fun, too.
Huge, huge. Don't say big. Well, not like Forrest Fenn huge. So I guess I always over dramatic, and then people get mad. So yeah, what he said.
But I want to talk about Boots on the Ground Clothing is in chat, and Boots on the Ground Clothing right there, right here. They have a treasure hunt going as well. And that treasure hunt is for $1,500. And Boots on the Ground, you can give the details in the chat. Make sure I got it right. And is it tomorrow when the rest of the clues are going to come out? I believe it's tomorrow. He's going to release the clues. But you had to have purchased something from your website in order to be eligible. I think I got that right as well. So $1,500. Those clues are coming out tomorrow. Hey, $1,500. Somewhere in the U.S., there's a little PVC pipe buried that has a hoodie in it, which is one of the items they sell. And that hoodie has a gold stitching or a gold logo. And I'm sure the instructions are inside it as well on how to claim your $1,500. And then also there's a virtual one where I thought he said they were giving away $200. But again, go to botgclothing.com. You can get the info there. And then I also got to say that Copper Dan had a treasure hunt too. And I just want to read the clues. If you go to Forrest Fenn's Marvel Gaze on Facebook, Copper Dan just put up a video that I haven't watched yet that I think gives a solution. But I got to say congratulations to Ramona, who figured it out here in Las Vegas, and Kathy, who actually drove to go pick it up for her. And Boots on the Ground Clothing is out here in Vegas. They went to the location to find it, and they just missed it. They were just too late. They sent me a picture like this, like, oh, we just missed it. So this is Dan's poem that he put together. See if you guys can figure out where it is. Go to the city. The cow holds up, but don't forget to gas your car up. Look for the sign that says do not enter. Please be patient as it may take time to enter. If you can find the place the stars shine bright, you'll find my coin in almost any light. Under a rock a treasure lies. Do you have what it takes to compromise? So the city that cow holds up was a reference to me because I was with Dan when he hid this. You guys have to remember he was just out here for the World Series of Fenn. Don't forget to gas your car up. Gas Street is the street where the rock was, or a cross street of where it was. Look for the sign that says "Do Not Enter." There was a "Do Not Enter" sign that marked the location. Please be patient as it may take time to enter. This is a very busy spot in Las Vegas, and sometimes they're lined up to get in. If you find the place, the stars shine bright. The place was Pawn Stars. Pawn Stars that you see on TV. He hid his mysterious writings token on the street in front of Pawn Stars. You'll find my coin in almost any light, and under a rock, a treasure lies. You have what it takes to compromise, and that's the negotiations they do on Pawn Stars. So I thought that was awesome, Dan. I hope you gave the solution out already, and I didn't jump on that. But yeah, that was cool.
And I will say Dan's mind is a little bit more like my mind than Beth's mind. So when you mind, they will be a little bit more like that than the super crazy NSA secret agent that like defends the entire Earth from aliens type of thing that Bryan and Beth do. So I mean, I'm amazed that Beth came up with it is awesome, but that someone was able to decipher that from a million other possibilities. Bryan, I give it to you, please. Like, if you're looking for a search partner on the Fed stuff, just let me know. Please let me know.
So I think we need to send Bryan a first Lazars shirt because he was the first one to find the boots on the ground. Yeah. That would be awesome, huh?
Nice.
And then Boots on the Ground clothing just posted in the chat that they are going to release all the clues tomorrow. But if you figure out where this thing is, then you can make a purchase to become eligible. So that's an awesome little twist. You don't have to buy something up front. If you think, hey, I know where this is, or if you go find it, then make a purchase, and then you can get $1,500. So awesome idea, Boots on the Ground clothing. I hope you do another one when this one's sold.
Well, and I will say, I hope this isn't a bad thing, but one of the things that, because Mike and I are looking into doing an actual hunt with an actual prize that goes, there is some stipulations of why you have to purchase something, and that's why you have to purchase apparel. It's not just a money making scheme. There's actually some legalities wise. So don't think Boots on the Ground clothing is saying, oh, you have to purchase my stuff because I just want to make money off of you. There's some legal reasons why it goes from a sweepstakes to a chance thing,
contest, sweepstakes. Yeah, there's a little bit of legality there. So when there's money involved, right. So Boots on the Ground clothing obviously did their research, because I've just started doing the research, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's all the whole chance and all of that. So just know that part when you look at all, and it's just cool stuff. There's like backpacks and hats and shirts and hoodies and everything. I like the In the Wood hat that they sent. In the Wood, pretty cool.
Yeah. So anyway, just know that piece. Like mine's back there. There's a backpack back there. So just know that piece before you give them too hard to find. I think a lot of people like to assume first, and then try to that's what you get to do on the internet. You get to be anonymous and then just assume and throw some hate. No. I'm now doing the research, or Mike and I are, and I can tell you there's a lot more to the legal side of things than I realized. So even in Las Vegas, where they're the most lenient, but still there's lots of rules and all of that we're going to make sure that we do, so we don't have the gaming board coming after us like we already have. Mike and I have learned
for something else. For something else. Cowlazars, when will you be back? What do you mean by be back? Oh, I'm going to do a vlog this weekend. So look for a Forrest Fenn Says What this weekend. It's been a long time since I've done one of those. So we've got a lot more coins to hide. And like I said, by March 1st, we're going to release the next one. We may even do a couple together, release them at the same time. And all right. Thanks, Bryan. That was a lot of fun, and you definitely deserve it.
Thanks. I had a lot of fun, too.
All right, everybody.
Bryan, you're awesome. You set the bar. You've set the bar.
Let me know when you get the coin, okay?
Will do. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye y'all.